Your mindset is the foundation of everything you do. It determines how you see the world, how you respond to challenges, how you carry yourself in moments of success, and how you recover in seasons of failure. When your mindset is right, you move differently, you think with purpose, you act with courage, and you push forward even when it gets hard. But when your mindset is cluttered with doubt, fear, or negativity, it's like trying to drive a car with the parking brake on. You may move, but you're not going to get far, and you're going to burn out fast. Too often, people focus on changing their circumstances before changing how they think. They want to change jobs, change partners, change cities, thinking that if their surroundings are different, they'll feel better. But the truth is, you take your mindset with you wherever you go. If you don't shift what's happening in your mind, no amount of external change will bring lasting peace or fulfillment. That's why mindset isn't just important, it's essential. It's not the outside world that determines your reality. It's the lens you use to see it. Some people wake up every day already defeated. Not because something bad happened that morning, but because their mind has already told them they're not enough, that they're behind, that nothing ever works out. And guess what? If you feed your mind that message long enough, it becomes truth to you. That's how powerful your mindset is. Your thoughts become your beliefs shape your habits, and your habits create your life. It all starts in the mind. Think about it. Two people can face the same situation, say getting passed over for a promotion. One person takes it personally, internalizes it, and decides they're not valued, not capable, not worthy. The other person uses it as fuel. They say, okay, what can I learn? What do I need to improve? How can I come back stronger? Same situation, completely different outcome. The difference isn't talent, it's mindset. That's why you have to guard your mind like it's your most valuable asset. Because it is. What you allow in will eventually come out. If you constantly feed yourself negativity, criticism, fear, and self-doubt, that's what will shape your reality. But if you start feeding your mind hope, discipline, resilience, and belief, you'll see your life begin to change. Sometimes without your circumstances changing at all. That's the power of inner transformation. There's no success, no breakthrough, no healing, no growth that starts outside of you. It all begins with the decision to think differently, to train your mind to focus on possibility, not limitation, to reframe setbacks as setups, to understand that failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of the process. People with strong, growth-oriented mindsets aren't people who never struggle. They're just people who've learned not to give up in the middle of it. So when you think about goals, ambitions, and dreams, don't just ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? Ask yourself, what mindset do I need to build to get there? Because the level of success you reach will never exceed the level of belief you have in yourself. Your mindset is the blueprint, the engine, the GPS, everything else, strategy, resources, talent, those are tools. But without the engine running, without your mind aligned with your mission, none of it works. That's why resetting your mindset isn't optional. It's the first step. And if you don't take it, every step after that will feel heavier than it needs to. You are not your past. That simple truth is something many people hear, but few truly believe. The past can feel permanent because we carry it like baggage, heavy, constant, always reminding us of where we've been and what we've done, mistakes, regrets, failures, disappointments. These things can begin to wrap around our identity if we let them. But here's the truth. Your past is an experience, not a definition. What happened to you, or even what happened because of you, does not have to dictate who you are or who you're becoming. Everyone has chapters in their life they'd rather not read out loud. Maybe it's a bad decision that cost you a relationship, a job, a chance. Maybe it's something someone else did to you that made you question your worth. Maybe it's years spent going in the wrong direction, caught in habits or situations that made you feel stuck or ashamed. That's part of the human experience. But you're allowed to rewrite your story. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to start over. The past may be part of your story, but it's not the whole book. What often holds people back isn't what actually happened, but the meaning they attach to it. A person fails once and they decide they're a failure. Someone else walks away and they decide they're unlovable. A dream doesn't work out and they tell themselves they're not capable. But none of those conclusions are facts. They're interpretations. And interpretations can be changed. You can't change what happened, but you can change how you carry it. You can change what you believe it means about you. The person you were back then who made the mistake, who doubted themselves, who didn't know better, that person doesn't have to be the person you are today. Growth means you can outgrow your former mindset, your former habits, your former environment. It means you can look back and say, yes, I did that, or yes, that happened to me, but still move forward knowing that's not where your story ends. Healing begins when you stop letting old wounds narrate your future. Some people spend years punishing themselves for things they can't undo, constantly reliving pain, embarrassment, or guilt. But holding on to shame doesn't fix the past. It only delays your future. It doesn't make you stronger, it just makes you stuck. If you want to move forward, you have to release the idea that you need to be perfect in order to be worthy. You don't. You just have to be willing to change, willing to learn, willing to forgive yourself. And yes, it's a process. There will be days when the memories creep in, when doubt resurfaces, when you wonder if you're really capable of starting fresh. On those days, remind yourself that healing isn't pretending it didn't happen. It's knowing it happened and choosing to grow anyway. It's choosing not to live in that chapter forever. It's choosing to take your power back, not by erasing the past, but by no longer letting it define your identity. You are allowed to evolve. You're allowed to want more for yourself than what you settled for before. You're allowed to change your standards, your boundaries, your direction, and no one gets to throw your past in your face when you've done the work to rise above it. That part of your life may have shaped you, but it doesn't get to limit you unless you let it. So don't let your past convince you that you've missed your moment. Your next chapter doesn't need permission from your last one. You are not your past. You are your potential. And that changes everything. Your thoughts shape your reality. That might sound simple, but it holds more power than most people realize. Everything you experience, everything you feel, and everything you believe starts with the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind. Thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs influence your behavior. Behavior creates your habits. And over time, your habits shape your life. If you constantly think in terms of lack, fear, or self-doubt, then your reality will begin to reflect that. But if you train your mind to think in terms of growth, possibility, and strength, your reality will shift in the same direction. The mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's repeated. If you tell yourself every day that you're not good enough, not ready, not worthy, your brain starts to accept that as truth. You begin to look for evidence to support it. You sabotage opportunities. You withdraw when you should step up. You downplay your worth because your thoughts told you a false story long enough for you to believe it. This is why it's so important to monitor your internal dialogue, what you say to yourself when no one else is listening, because those conversations are building the blueprint of your life. Too many people spend their lives fighting external battles when the real fight is internal. They try to fix their situation without fixing their mindset. But your outer world will always reflect your inner world. That's why two people can be given the same tools and opportunities, yet one thrives and the other falls short. It's not always about talent or resources. It's about the filter through which they see themselves and the world. Your perception determines your direction. And perception is nothing more than a consistent pattern of thought. Think about the way a thermostat works. It sets the temperature for the room. Your thoughts work the same way. They set the emotional and psychological climate of your life. If your thoughts are cold with fear, your actions will follow suit. If they're warm with belief and clarity, you'll move with confidence. What you feed your mind matters. You can't expect to think powerfully if you're constantly feeding yourself negativity. You can't expect to see growth if your thoughts are consumed with doubt. It's like planting weeds and expecting roses. It just doesn't work that way. The good news is that thoughts can be changed. You're not stuck with the same mindset you've always had. You can challenge your negative beliefs. You can replace them. You can build new mental habits. But like anything else, it takes practice. It takes awareness. It takes effort. You don't control every thought that enters your mind, but you do control which ones you give attention to. The thoughts you dwell on are the ones that grow stronger. So choose wisely. Affirmations, journaling, surrounding yourself with people who speak life into you. These are not just feel-good practices. They are tools to help reset your thinking. You need to catch the limiting thoughts as they show up and challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or holding me back? If it's holding you back, reframe it. Speak truth over your life. Remind yourself of your potential, your resilience, your worth. Because when you start thinking differently, you start showing up differently. And when you show up differently, life starts responding differently. You have more control over your life than you think, and it starts in your mind. The life you live tomorrow begins with the thoughts you choose today. If you want to change your life, change the way you think. It might take time, it might feel uncomfortable, but it's the most powerful thing you can do. Your thoughts are not just reactions to your world, they are the architects of it. Change your thoughts, and you'll begin to change everything. Your mindset can be your prison or it can be your passport. That simple statement holds a deep truth that shapes the course of your entire life. The way you think can either lock you in fear, doubt, and limitation, or it can open doors to opportunity, growth, and freedom. It's not the circumstances that trap most people, it's the stories they tell themselves about what those circumstances mean. Your mindset is either building the walls around you or paving the road ahead of you. The choice is yours. Many people don't even realize they're living in a prison of their own making. It's not made of bars or chains. It's made of thoughts like, I can't, I'm not enough, it's too late, or what if I fail? These thoughts create invisible boundaries. They keep people from taking chances, from speaking up, from starting over, from believing in something better. This kind of mindset becomes a cage. It limits vision. It shrinks confidence. It tells you to settle when something in your soul knows you were made for more. On the other hand, when your mindset is open, strong, and focused on growth, it becomes your passport. It gives you permission to explore your potential. It allows you to see challenges as stepping stones instead of dead ends. It gives you the courage to leave behind comfort zones and enter new chapters of life. A growth-oriented mindset doesn't deny fear, it just doesn't give it control. It sees fear as a sign that you're doing something worth doing. It sees failure not as a reason to stop, but as proof that you're trying. The difference between a prison and a passport isn't what happens to you, it's how you interpret what happens. Two people can go through the same setback. One sees it as the end, the other sees it as a lesson. One gets stuck, the other gets stronger. It's not luck, it's not circumstance, it's mindset. That's why personal growth always begins with internal change. You can't expect your life to expand if your thinking stays small. What you believe about yourself matters more than anything else. If you believe you're unworthy, your actions will follow that belief. You'll shy away from good things. You'll push away opportunity. You'll stay quiet when you should speak. But if you believe you're capable, worthy, and growing, then your actions start to align with that belief. You show up, you try again, you take the risk, and each step you take outside of that mental prison builds momentum towards something greater. Mindset isn't just about positive thinking, it's about power thinking. It's about building the kind of inner strength that can carry you through tough times, that can resist fear-based thinking, that can remind you who you are when life tries to make you forget. It's about believing in your ability to improve, to adapt, to learn, and to keep going even when it's hard. That's what unlocks new levels in life. That's what turns a closed door into a redirection, not a rejection. If you've been stuck, maybe it's not your life that needs to change. Maybe it's your lens. Maybe you've been living by a mindset that doesn't serve you anymore. Maybe it's time to stop reinforcing limits and start imagining possibilities. The beautiful thing is you can change your mindset at any time. It starts with one decision, one new belief, one brave thought that says, I'm done living behind walls that I built. Mindset will either keep you circling the same struggles or guide you to new beginnings. It can make you feel like a victim or help you realize you're the author. Don't underestimate the power of perspective, because in the end, your mindset is either your greatest limitation. Growth comes through pressure. That's not just a saying, it's a principle of life. Nothing strong, nothing valuable, nothing truly remarkable is formed without pressure. You see it in nature, in relationships, in success, and in your personal development. Diamonds are made under extreme pressure. Muscles grow through resistance. Trees grow deeper roots in storms. The same principle applies to you. Every challenge, every obstacle, every uncomfortable moment you face has the potential to shape you into something stronger if you don't run from it. The problem is that we've been taught to avoid pressure. We're conditioned to seek comfort, to avoid pain, to label difficulty as failure. So when life gets hard, we think something is wrong. But what if pressure isn't a sign that you're failing? What if it's a sign that you're growing? Growth rarely feels good in the moment. It stretches you, it exposes your weaknesses, it forces you to look at the parts of yourself you'd rather avoid. But that discomfort is not there to destroy you, it's there to develop you. Pressure reveals what's inside. When everything is easy, it's hard to tell what you're really made of. But when life turns up the heat, that's when character is forged. That's when resilience is tested. That's when you find out what you believe in and how badly you want something. It's under pressure that you learn patience, endurance, grit, and focus. It's under pressure that your true mindset is revealed. Not the one you talk about, but the one you live by when nothing is going your way. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs in life come right after the most intense seasons of pressure. The moment you think you can't take it anymore is often the moment just before something shifts. That's why giving up too early is so dangerous. Many people quit not because they weren't capable, but because they misunderstood what pressure meant. They thought it was a sign to stop, when in fact it was an invitation to level up. Pressure is a teacher. It shows you what you need to work on. It points out the gaps between where you are and where you want to be. And while it might not feel good, it's honest. It's real. It doesn't lie to you like comfort does. Comfort tells you that you're okay when you're really stuck. Pressure tells you it's time to change, time to grow, time to rise. And make no mistake, growth under pressure is not about perfection. It's not about always getting it right or never feeling overwhelmed. It's about showing up. even when it's tough. It's about being willing to be shaped, not shattered. It's about saying, this is hard, but I'm still in it. I'm still moving. I'm still learning. That mindset turns pressure into progress. Some of the greatest leaders, innovators, artists, and visionaries went through intense seasons of pressure before they ever saw success. What separated them wasn't their background or luck. It was how they responded to pressure. They didn't run from it. They leaned into it. They understood that what's uncomfortable now could become their strength later. They trusted the process, even when it didn't make sense. You can either see pressure as something that breaks you or something that builds you. The experience is the same, but your interpretation of it determines the outcome. When you stop avoiding the hard things and start embracing them as part of the journey, you'll begin to see growth in places you never expected. You'll start becoming someone you. Pressure is not your enemy, it's your mirror, your mentor, your moment of transformation. And when you learn to handle it, not avoid it, not escape it, but handle it, you become unstoppable. Because the person who grows through pressure doesn't just survive life, they shape it. You are the sign you've been waiting for. For far too long, people wait for someone else to give them permission to change their lives. They wait for the perfect moment, for the perfect plan, or for someone to come along and show them the way. But what if no one is coming? What if the sign you're looking for has been inside you this entire time? The truth is, you don't need a green light from anyone else. You don't need outside approval to start living a life that reflects your values, your purpose, and your potential. You are capable of giving yourself that permission. There's a common belief that something outside of us will shift before we can move forward. That once circumstances improve, once we feel more confident, once we get some kind of confirmation, then we'll take the leap. But the reality is that waiting for the stars to align is often just fear in disguise. It's a way of postponing action, of staying in the comfort of indecision. But growth doesn't wait for perfect timing. It begins the moment you decide that you are enough. Right now, as you are with what you have, you don't need to be more experienced. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing to move, willing to try, willing to bet on yourself. Life doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to boldness. And the moment you start acting like you're the one who's responsible for changing your life, something inside you shifts. You begin to realize that power has been yours all along. It was never about finding the right sign. It was about finding your courage. People often look to others for validation because it's easier than trusting themselves. They want someone to tell them they're ready, that they're good enough, that they're allowed to dream big, to start fresh, to aim higher. But when you build your life on external validation, you give away your power. You make your confidence dependent on other people's opinions, people who might not even see your vision. That's why it's so important to become your own source of belief. When you believe in yourself even just a little, it sets off a chain reaction. Your actions begin to match your potential, not your fear. Sometimes the biggest breakthrough comes not from something new happening around you, but from a shift within you, a decision, a moment where you finally say, I'm done waiting. I'm starting now. That's what real transformation looks like. It doesn't always come with a loud announcement or a dramatic sign. Sometimes it comes in quiet defiance. The refusal to stay small, the decision to show up even if your hands are shaking, the choice to speak life over yourself instead of doubt. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to be fully confident to start. You just have to be committed. Confidence grows with action. The more you show up, the more you prove to yourself that you're capable. Every time you push past resistance, every time you keep going despite fear, every time you choose progress over perfection, you are becoming your own sign. You are showing yourself that you don't have to wait for things to change. You can be the change. It's time to stop waiting for someone else to believe in you. It's time to stop waiting for clarity to magically appear. If you've been looking for a sign to move forward, to try again, to chase that dream, to become the person you've always wanted to be, look in the mirror. You are the sign. You are the permission. You are the answer. Everything you need is already inside you. The world doesn't need more people waiting. It needs more people who are willing to become who they were created to be. And that begins with one decision: to believe in yourself, even before everything makes sense.